Hello my fellow rail fans, Chicago Rail Fan here, and welcome to another episode of the Chicago Abandoned Railroad. This series will showcase the locations of rail lines and stations that no longer exist. Keep in mind that some of these locations are not 100% accurate, and that the information I got are from sources linked in the description down below. I personally have drawn the lines and placed the markers down myself. For now, we will cover the Chicago L, now the CTA, starting at the very beginning at the Chicago L with the south side elevated in 1888. Plans to construct an elevated rail line from Congress Street, here, between State and Wabash Street, south to 39th Street, which is now known as Pershing, which at the time were the city limits, were approved by the city aldermen. Just 2 years later, not even before the construction of the original line, there were plans to extend the line further south to Jackson Park, here, which was the site chosen for the 1893 World Fair, aka the World's Columbian Exposition. Here's a photograph of the Jackson Park terminal back when it was built for the 1893 World Fair. As you can see, it's behind some building here, and the area looks completely different to what it is today. Other plans have been approved to build branches off to Englewood, which would have later been built. Another plan to build branches to Normal Park would later be approved in years to follow. And another plan to build a branch line that was never built would be from the Jackson Park branch south to 71st Street in between King Drive and Cottage Grove. Since we don't know what the branch would have looked like today, I've drawn what a hypothetical would have looked like. I just drew it down in the middle of the two streets, and I drew it along here to where it would curve here to go along with the former PRR and New York Central lines, now the Anna Chicago line, as would run parallel here and likely have terminated here and would have connected to the railroad stations serving the areas here, which that's a story for another time. Going back to the segment from Congress Street to 39th, on May 27th, 1892, a train had ran with 300 guests running along this section here for inspections before the line was inaugurated in June of that year. The line had originally 9 stops from Congress Street down to 39th. However, most of these stations were closed in 1949 due to low ridership. Only Roosevelt had reopened since then, and a new station has been built in Cermak McCormick Place in 2012. The only station that remains out of the stations that closed is 35th Street, aka Tech 35th, for the Illinois Institute of Technology. Side note here, just north of the 33rd, of where 33rd Street used to be located, is a soundproof tunnel that was built by the students of the Illinois Institute of Technology. Just a little side note there. The old Congress Street terminal was demolished in 1949, along with a little branch line it created after the South Side Elevated had linked itself with the Union Loop and subsequently merged with the other elevated railroad companies. Just to give you an idea how close the two Congress Street stations were, here's a picture of the two stations together. In the front is the Congress Street terminal, and behind it is the Congress Wabash Street station. The area has slightly changed, as the original curve used to be much tighter around here, and this curve here is much more straighter. Here's a photograph of the old curve here before it had been straightened. The street underneath here is Harrison Street, which is the street south of Congress Street. The new curve is currently west of where this curve is right now. We're currently looking northeast. Another thing to note, middle track was constructed from 18th here to Indiana, right around here, as express services were using the middle track. However, in 1949, this site the whole express service thing was abolished and replaced with the now known AB skip stop express operations. As you can see, there's still part of the middle track here, but some of it has been removed. To put it simply, for the AB skip stop express system would be basically stations were designated A, B, or AB stops. As you can probably guess, A trains stop at the A stops, B trains stop at the B stops, both stop at A, B stops. A pretty simple concept. Moving south here on the main line, 58th was closed in 1994 for the 2 years of rehabilitation on the CTA Green Line, but the station was never opened, along with 61st Street, also closed in the same year. However, 58th station still remained, and it was not demolished until 2012. It's unknown when 61st Street was demolished, but it would likely happened during the rehab. Continuing down the Jackson Park branch, the branch went as far as into Jackson Park, as for the aforementioned 1893 World Fair, but the branch line had been shortened numerous times. First was removal of the Jackson Park branch, Jackson Park station, which only existed for about 172 days, as it was removed in Halloween of 1893, making it the shortest lived L station in the L's history. In 1982, service to Stony Island, which would later be renamed Jackson Park as this Jackson Park, would be demolished. The service was suspended due to the bridge going over the IC tracks had structural defects, and service was cut back to University, even though Dorchester was west of the tracks. The restoration of this part of the line never really came to be. Dorchester was also closed in 1973. There were plans to re-extend the line from University to Stony Island and to build a new terminal here. However, the plans were changed to build a new terminal in Dorchester. Here's a drawing on what the Dorchester terminal would have looked like here. As you can see, it would have like many glass panes around the area here. It would have likely resembled, out of every station I've known, the Cumberland station, probably on the blue line. And construction was complete from University to Dorchester. However, it was met with controversy among the residents of Woodlawn, which both had strong opinions for and against it, mostly over the concern of the development in the area. However, the opposition had won, and during the 1994-96 Green Line rehab, all the tracks and stations east of Cottage Grove were cut back and has since been gone. While this video is over, we still have more to talk about the South Side Elevated with 4 more branch lines. This was part 1 with the main line and the Jackson Park branch. Part 2 will cover the 2 Englewood branches, and part 3 will cover the Stockyard branches here. Before you disembark, please like and subscribe. It costs nothing for you and it helps me out. Until then, this is Chicago Real Fan, departing and signing out.